Hello and welcome to the Sound Lab podcast interviews. Unedited on today's show, interviews from We Are Scientists, Kate Rusby, Nordik Fire Boo Hewerdine, and we also throw back to Slam Dunk Festival 2017 to chat to Neck Deep. So let's crack on, shall we, and play our first interview from We Are Scientists. They've got new music coming out and we had a little chat with them all about it. We Are Scientists. How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks so much. So we've been playing a new single of yours called Please Don't Say It. Tell us a bit
Appreciate
about
it. Sorry, what? Tell you a bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what can I possibly say? I feel like it speaks for itself. But look, I'm not just a musician. I'm a wordsmith in my own right. So I'm going to say it's a dance through the darkest of caverns, but with a bright light at the end of it. And normally you're advised not to go toward the light. In this case, I think it's quite safe to approach.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, it's just sort of it's sort of a dancey number. It does have like a slightly more ominous vibe than I think We Are Scientists normally brings. But it's still, a pretty upbeat number. You could get on the dance floor to it, I would say, and should.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that will be the case. And that track is off a new record, which is coming in July. Qualifying Miles, what can we expect to hear on the record?
I think it's a pretty interesting record for us. Our last few records, we've been self-producing. And I think we've been really enjoying sort of getting immersed in a lot of production ideas, a lot of idiosyncratic production ideas. And this record, Qualifying Miles, is I think a little more stripped down. I think it feels a little more like a live band playing than the past couple records intentionally have not. But yeah, I think it's very songwriting and hook focused. I think we were spending a lot of time thinking about the kind of rock that we grew up listening to, so like 90s alt rock. Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of that flavor in there, more than is usual in a We Are Scientists record. But it's hard to say because I think we often think that things sound dramatically different, and other people are like, "Oh yeah, it sounds like We Are Scientists." So I don't know. Yeah, it is funny for us to have to try to describe our music because we are definitely way too close to it. I can only tell you what our intentions were.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of those intentions, the sound that you made with this record, was it the sound you wanted, or is it kind of how it turned out in the studio?
Yeah, I think one benefit of having a producer on hand is that they can often say, well, the sound that you have in your head is stupid. And so here's how I will, correctly filter what you're telling me you want to do so that other people will want you to have done that. Well, I think with these last few records, they have sounded exactly the way we have wanted them to sound. I think they're perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. But yeah, I think that is the minute we were technically proficient enough to get the sounds that we wanted to get, and also be convinced that we were providing an aesthetic check on one another well enough. I mean, yeah, like self-producing is I think the greatest difficulty in it is discipline, and like sort of being able to stand back and say, just because you like this idea doesn't mean it's a good idea. But sometimes also it is saying that maybe just because you like it is reason enough to try to indulge it a little bit. I think Chris Kane is much better at that kind of thing than I personally am. I think he is a much more responsible part of the production process than I am. So I think it is good that we are a dual production team.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you wrote more than what made it onto this record. What happens to those now? Do you consider them again next time, or do you think you'll bin them off and start again?
Um, usually, yeah, our writing process for maybe the past 10 years has been to just write an insane amount of music. Like when we started out, our first few records were legitimately just like, here's what we've written. I mean, I guess
Mhm.
our first record was like, we've been a band for 4 years. Here are the songs that we like right now. Um, and then our next few records were like, well, we've had 18 months to write. Here, like we wrote 15 songs. Here are 11 of them.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, for the past maybe like decade, maybe more, we've just like we just write all the time. And we don't care while we're writing whether or not it's good. Like we sort of pointedly tried to make the act of songwriting feel less like a pressure cooker. Like for a long time, writing a song felt really stressful, and if you were working on something and it kind of seemed like even if it was good, but just might not be something we are scientists would use, I immediately was like, well, forget it. There's no point in even pursuing this. I'm wasting my time.
Mm.
Um, we have a lot more fun writing now, uh, but we do create a huge volume of music now. A lot of which is garbage, but it was fun to make at the time, and we never have to think about it again. Our last few records, um, we we really haven't gone back and mined the the stuff that didn't make the cut, even though at the time I think we thought there was other stuff that we could use. Yeah, when you're making records all the time, you sort of once something's in the rear view, you kind of tend to forget it.
Mm.
We're close enough to these more recent songs that we've written that there are still a few that we're saying, okay, they didn't really fit on qualifying miles just because of the general aesthetic we were going for, sort of that like 90s rock vibe.
Mm.
And there are a few more like much more traditional sounding We Are Scientists songs that we didn't use, and some kind of like punkier songs that we didn't use that we're saying we want to readdress once this album is out and we have time to think about that again.
Mhm.
Who knows? Given our history, we may just be like, well, let's just write some more songs and
Yeah.
move on. But there are a big handful of songs that like right now we're like, okay, we gotta record these as soon as possible. So we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And over 20 years of releasing music now, how have you and how has the music evolved over the years?
Um, I think as I was saying, I think we've gotten much less precious about every individual song. I think when we first started out, especially because we would essentially end up playing every new song that we would write live. I mean, we're essentially writing before we put out our first record. We were only writing songs so that we had a live set. Like
Mm.
we'd be like, well, here's our new song. I guess we're playing it at the show on Friday. Um, and so there was there was a lot more like focus on here's a song idea. How do we turn this single song idea into uh like a compressed how do we turn this coal into a diamond? Like regardless of where the raw materials are, we got to make this thing perfect. And I think we made a lot of cool music because of that approach. I think we would really go out of our way to make the arrangements very interesting. Whereas I think now our approach is, well, what songs do we think on their own are the best songs? And then how do we what avenues do we pursue to make this song the best version of itself? So they are sort of different approaches to finishing a song, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, good. You get the chance to be doing some live shows in just
Yes,
a couple of weeks' time. You're heading off to Europe and then back here in the UK. I bet you can't wait to be doing some more shows.
absolutely.
How's it? How's the set list coming along? Because you've got what 9 albums now to pick from.
Yeah, it is very sad to go through. Like when I write a set list, I tend to lean very heavily on like, okay, what are fan favorites and what are like the songs that when we start playing them, people will immediately be like, yeah, that song's a banger. So I tend to like, I lean very heavily on singles. Um, and I think Chris's take is always like, well, I want to write a set list for like the deep heads. So like, 10, maybe only 10 people in the room will recognize this song, but their minds will be blown that we're playing it. Um, Especially on this tour when we're going out before the new album is even out, I think we obviously want to play a bunch of the new songs, but it's a little more of a balancing act because people won't have heard some of these songs. So I think I'll probably write the very first set list, and so I think it's going to be like just bangers and bangers and bangers, and then new stuff. But we'll see how that evolves as the tour goes on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then we're into festival season as well. You've got a couple of festivals booked in. Are you hoping to
Yeah.
add some more?
We're always down to add festivals. If you're a festival promoter and you have a gaping hole in your lineup, yeah, give us a call. Festivals are great because there really is not much you can like when you're on your own tour. Even though you spend a lot of the day feeling like you're not doing much, there's always something that you need to be doing to set up the show. Like your work day starts at 2 p.m. or whatever you're loading in and sort of ends at midnight or 1 a.m. At a festival, there really is nothing you can be doing. Like you're not really even allowed on stage before your set. Like you can be backstage kind of setting stuff up, but so festivals are a very leisurely day. So it's nice to be sitting in a European field
Yeah.
where your only real job is to sip an Aperol spritz all day.
Mhm.
Except for the 45 minutes you're on stage.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And frankly, I probably will be sipping an Aperol spritz during that 45-minute workday as well.
Why not? I mean, it's only
Yeah.
45 minutes. I'm sure you'll be able to cope. I think you know what you're doing by now as well. So
Yeah, I've timed the release of the alcohol perfectly.
yeah, down to a T.
Yeah.
And I like to talk about the writing side of things as well. So for you, how do tracks normally start off?
Well, I have this little space that you can see in the video, I guess, on radio. It's just like it's just a small room in my apartment that I have converted into like a kind of tiny small studio office. So yeah, a lot of it starts in here, just kind of me with a synth or a bass. Um, and yeah, like I said, these days I do tend to just like not really worry about whether an idea even seems worth pursuing. I'll just be like, well, I'm in this office every single day. Today I'm just gonna play around and see what happens. So I try to write something every day if I can. Um, and then after a year of that, Chris and I will be like, okay, what music do you have? And we'll send each other just a huge folder of crap to wade through. Chris actually creates an Excel grid where we grade each other's songs with a point system. We kind of go through, tally up how many points every song got. And then we usually end up kind of throwing that away, but it gives us a good idea of where our heads are at. And then we'll sit down with 15 songs, and for 3 months, like really focus on those. Do make demos of them,
Mhm.
break the demos apart. A lot of our songwriting does happen like in the production process as well. We try to be pretty open to like turning the song inside out as we're recording it. So yeah, it's a pretty even though like we write the core ideas very quickly, the process tends to be pretty long. We have actually talked about like trying to truncate the entire thing and like try to like write a song and then immediately try to produce it as quickly as possible. We've
Mhm.
never really done that. We usually like sit and let the songs marinate, which I think is the preferable way to approach it. I definitely often will write a song and think it's the greatest song we've ever written, and then like after 3 months of sitting on it, be like, "What was I talking about? That we are not recording that." So I think a
Uh,
little distance. Again, like I said, when you're self-producing, I think trying to be both passionate and impartial at
mhm.
the same time is a big part of the balancing act.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And finally, I'll be speaking to your old bandmate Andy Burrows next week. Have you got a
Oh,
message for him that I can pass on?
oh my God. I mean, tell him that we've got a sitting appointment at the George, and I need that frosty pint as soon as possible. I'm so mad. He's going to be in Australia during our week off in London. And I mean, my plan for months has been that week I'm just going out to his place in the countryside and just going to hang out there. Now he's going to be gone. I have actually considered still just doing it and hanging out with his family while he's gone.
Why not? Why not? I'm sure,
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll let you in.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with We Are Scientists. Now, we are all over social media, so come and find us at The Sound Lab, yes, on all the socials, and you can also check out the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. Now, while you go and follow us on all of those socials, you can take a listen to our next interview from Kate Rusby, who's just released a brand new record. We had a little chat with her all about it. Kate Rusby, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. Yeah, getting all giddy for tour and album and spring and everything. It's just very good. Exciting times.
Loads of stuff on the way. And one thing that is coming up after this interview is we'll be playing a new single of yours called Today Again. Tell us a bit about the single.
So today again, sorry, I wrote that for somebody that really needed it. Somebody very close to me was having a bit of a tough time, and just that thing of because I've been through tough times as well. And one of the things that really helped me was to remember that the sun is always going to come up on another day. You will go to sleep, however rubbish your day has been, and however desperately awful it's been and painful, the sun is going to rise because nobody can stop it. It will rise the next day. And by then, it will be a little bit less painful and a little bit, tiny bit easier. And then the day after that, the sun will rise again. And with each day and each sunrise, it will just keep being a little bit better. So there is always just that little ray of hope until you just feel that moment of happiness and it's there. And so it was just about that, a song of hope and support, really, and comfort. Yeah.
Mm, nice, nice. And that is off your new record, When They All Looked Up, which is out 25th of April. What can we expect to hear on the record?
Oh, a little bit of everything, actually, really, like most of my albums. This is actually the first album of brand new music for 6 years from me that's not Christmas music. But I have been busy in that time. I've done like two Christmas albums, and I've done a retrospective album called 30 that was to celebrate 30 years of touring, and a covers album called Hand Me Down. But yeah, so this is the first kind of album in a while that where I've actually just sat down and started creating and finding brand new music that's normal. I mean, normal. What's normal about me? But that's not Christmas music. So there's a little bit of everything. There's a couple of traddy songs on there. I mean, when I first sat down to decide what songs were going to go on it, was struck by this thought of I'm 51, I'm going to be 52 at the end of this year. Just what if this is the last album that I ever make? Is the songs yet that I've got somewhere in my brain that I've never got round to recording yet? So there are two or three songs on there that I know from my parents singing because they both sing and play. And so, yes, it was an opportunity to do that kind of thing as well. The songs that I've written, there's funny songs, one of which is called the Barnsley Youth and Temperance Society, which is based on a true story and is just hilarious. And yeah, a little bit of everything. There's hope, there's happiness. Quite a few people have said, it's a very positive album. Even though it's quite a chilled out album, actually, but there's lots of positive kind of messages of hope and everything will be fine. And let's try and just be happy in whatever is going on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And how does this record sound in comparison to your previous records?
Ooh, let me think. Well, we've still stuck with the kind of experimental kind of side of things, like using, like when I say that, I mean not just using acoustic instruments. Probably an album that we did called Philosophers, Poets and Kings in 2019 that came out. That probably was the start of little bits of experimentation with sounds and effects, and that's when we introduced the brilliant instrument that is the Moog, which is like a primitive synthesizer. Our bass player, Duncan Lyle, we were talking about this bottom layer of bass end, and he was saying, do you know what? I'm going to bring my Moog with me next time I come to record. I was going, what is this? But he brought it down and it's like, wow, it's so much lower and it's all this different kind of space music sound, So we've loved using little bits of Moog in the music ever since then, really. So that stayed. But yet, I suppose it's a bit more intimate, this album, than previous ones. It's a bit more pared back. We did a tour last spring called the Singy Songy Session Tour, which was a more pared back, kind of more intimate sounding gig with just myself and three others on stage. We usually have a band of 6. At Christmas, it's like 14 of us, I think, something like that on the stage, because we have a brass section with us. But we loved that kind of more intimate sound from last spring. So I think that's what informed the sound of this album, really. So even though we still have, the depth of the music is still there, but somehow it's a bit more intimate, and that's the kind of the sound and the band members that we kind of went with for the albums. Yeah.
Nice. And when it comes to writing, let's talk a bit about it. How do tracks normally start off for you?
It starts off with me being in a little room surrounded by, I've got a whole load of ballad books, really old ballad books that I've collected over the years. And there's stories in there, there's songs that are complete, but they might have a tune missing. Some of them have got like one verse, and then you've got to imagine what else happens because the rest of it's been lost. So I just pull some random books out, take those with me, take my guitar, take my piano, keyboard thing, and I just sit and stare into space for quite a while, and I'll pick one of the instruments up, and maybe something has been sparked by something in one of the ballad books, or something that a thought, or as I've been talking to somebody or overheard a conversation. But then I'll just sit and start playing round chords, with whichever instrument, and then something just starts to appear, like the chord progression, or just a bit of a tune might pop in my head, so I'll keep playing it. But then this is why I have to shut myself away, and why I can't write with other people, because what comes out is just nonsense words for a bit, until I realize where the song is going to go and what the feel of it is and what it could possibly go into and be. So that has to be just a private thing, because it was just, people would be just going, Kate has just lost the plot slightly around the edges. So then I just sit again, but once a tune is formed and I get an idea for what the song might be, or maybe I'll have a line that I really love that fits with the chords that I've just kind of come up with. Then I kind of put the instruments down and I'll head out and walking, because we've got 2 dogs, so I do a lot of walking anyway. But I just then kind of write the rest of the song in my head as I'm walking about in the day. And a song might appear over like 3 or 4 days, or even a week, something like that. Even longer, I might start a song and then come back to it later on, But yeah, that initial thing is with instruments, but after that, it's just all in my head. And I've notepads all over the house, and my phone gets full of voice notes of ideas for lines and stuff like that. And quite often, I'll be out walking in the village, and people will be going, "Oh, hey, Kate," and I'm like, just walking on. They're going, "Oh, hello." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm just like miles away, just because I get in this headspace of rhyming couplets and where it could be, and the next verse and all that. So yeah, that's kind of done away from instruments, really.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And with this album on the way, you get the chance to play these tracks live when you're heading out on tour. I think in a couple of days' time. I bet you can't wait to be doing some shows again.
Yes, we start on Friday the 25th, so not long at all, and absolutely like dying to get back out on the road. Like I say, it's brand new music, so it's going to be so lovely. We're so excited to bring these songs out to people because a lot of the people that we'll be playing to won't actually have the album. A lot of people do wait to buy the album at the gig. But a lot of people have pre-ordered it, which is brilliant. So they will probably have it on release day. But even so, they might not have had chance to listen to it. So it will be the first time that a lot of people are hearing the song. So it's really exciting to and it kind of refreshes everything. I tend to do an album a year. I've done that for the last few years, a Christmas album one year and a normal album the next, just to make sure that both things that we do are refreshed over 2 years. So yeah, I can't wait. Absolutely
Yeah.
buzzing.
Yeah, I can well imagine. And then we're into festival season. You got a few festivals booked in. You hoping to add some more?
Yes, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, it's quite late now for festivals to be kind of booking, but you never know. Like I say, things change, things evolve, don't they? But yeah, we've got quite a few festivals in already, which is absolutely brilliant. We're doing Beautiful Days again, and we're doing Warwick Festival, which is a lovely kind of small folk festival, which I just adore. I've been going there since I was a kid. We're doing a lovely festival up in North Yorkshire, Rydale Festival, which is in a tiny little village up there, which is just so beautiful. And where else are we playing? Greenbelt Festival, which is the favourite of mine as well. Crikey, loads of them. Yeah, I can't wait. I love festival season because you get to go and hang out with fellow musicians as well that you've not seen since previous festival season.
Yeah.
So that's really lovely, and usually during summer our two girls come with us as well because they're not at school, so that's always a lovely thing. We drag them up on stage with us generally as well for a song, which is great. Yeah, I love it.
Nice. Nice. And what's the end of this year going to hold for you? You're going to be back in the studio? You're going to be doing some more touring? What's the plan at the moment?
Yes, we will be touring through December, our annual Christmas tour, which has become a beast. We absolutely love it. It's like the end of tour party for us because we've been together as a band, the whole year. And so yes, that I think that kicks off on possibly the 5th of December this year, actually. But it's actually the 20th year that we've done the Christmas tour, which I can't believe. So it's going to be extra special party of Christmas tour this year too. And for that, there will be a new recording out. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be just yet, whether it'll be an EP or a full album. I'm still just working on that just now. But yes, so can't wait for that. Party time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Christmas, I think you've got 6 Christmas records out there now. Are you running out of songs yet?
No, not even at all. Because here in South Yorkshire, we have this bizarre thing that happens in the pubs. I'm pointing over there because that's where one of the pubs is that we go to. And the people go from all walks of life and all over the country now. People gather here into these pubs, certain pubs, and sing these carols from the day after. It's like the weekend after Armistice Day, and it goes on until New Year's Day. And the lost versions of carols and Christmas songs that have been lost to the rest of the country. So there's like over 30 different versions of While Shepherds Watch Their Flocks, just for an example. So, I mean, I've not even done all them yet. So it's a whole treasure trove. And I used to be taken there as a kid. So I was brought up with this bizarre tons and tons of extra Christmas songs that lots of other people kind of don't really know. And that's why we started the Christmas tour, because I'm so passionate about that kind of set of songs that I decided, right, this is it. I'm going to get the lads together. We're going to Rusbyfy some of them, and we're taking them out on the road again to spread them out again so people will know them. So 20 years on, yeah, and it's 7 Christmas albums actually, I think. So yes, not done yet.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Kate Rusby to talk about her brand new record and loads more too. Now, as you're probably listening to this on Spotify, well, we can also bring you a fresh playlist, bringing you 150 brand new up-and-coming artists that you probably won't have heard of before. We've had a listen. We think you might just like them yourselves. So go and check it out. You might just go and find your new favourite artist. Link on our website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. Now, while you go and save that very playlist, we're going to play you our next interview from Nordik Fire, who's just been releasing some new music. So, Nordik Fire, how are you?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure is all mine. And we've been playing a new single of yours called Are We Alone? Tell us a bit about the single, first of all.
Well, this actually entire album, and especially this single, kind of reflects my journey. I started violin playing when I was 2 years old, was in a family band. We did a lot of international touring and all over the US. And basically what people didn't know is I was actually raised and born into a cult. And this is my kind of processing after leaving and a few years after I kind of broke free, going through that whole process. So Are We Alone is a lot about that journey of, I was homeschooled with my family and losing contact with my siblings and my best friends for not to get too deep too fast. It was a very lonely, excruciating process, but the whole album kind of journeys through, different points of that, and it gets happy. Like there's a song called Free where it's like positive and for the future and stuff. But it also is I've always been infatuated with extraterrestrial life, aliens, what's out there. And as you know, if you ask questions when you're in these situations called cults, it's not exactly okay. And so it's just kind of my breaking free, asking all the questions, expressing how I'm feeling at that time. Luckily, I am through that process, and this album helped a lot with that. But now it's on to happier times.
That's good.
There, deep thoughts right there at the beginning.
Yeah, deeper than many, I must admit. And the sound that you've made with this record, was it the sound you wanted, or was it just kind of how it turned out?
It was when I started playing, I was classically trained, and then I went into fiddle contests, and I ended up winning 10 state and national titles, did that a lot. And then I became a rebel because I decided I wanted to just pursue the sound I liked, which is kind of pursuing a electric guitar sound with the violin and fiddle. And so I would make a lot more money if I just stopped being a rebel and just went into country music, especially with Nashville being so close. It could probably do pretty well, but no, I choose the true artist path of exploring my soul and what I want to do. So it was a journey, because like the secret to the whole album is it's created like the underlying sounds. There's obviously the string lines, the violin parts where you hear violin, but like in Are We Alone per se, the beginning is like this chopping with the bow at the frog, but the base of the bow. And it's where you just do these unique like rhythm effects with the bow. And I was infatuated with it. And so it kind of started with that. And then it went into, it just was this whole progression of exploring, pushing boundaries. There's a song, Missing You, that has plucking. And that's the entire underlying part of the sound. And it's just this like, it almost is like this watery pluck. And it's just fun. A lot of delays, a lot of toys. We worked till like 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning, and I was used to going to bed normal. So it was just fun, exploring the whole thing. So
Yeah, I can well imagine. And although there are a few bands out there who do include violin in their rock music, how easy did you find it to kind of merge what normally is two different worlds together?
Well, being that I'm a violin narcissist, it was pretty easy because I think violin fits everywhere. So I teach on the side as well. Like I say, I'm not the country musician, so I have to come up with other ways of doing income. And so people are always bringing in songs. They're like, "Do you think a violin would fit on this?" And I'm like, "There is nothing that a violin doesn't sound good on." So, It's an amazing instrument, and that's kind of what I showcase. What I actually play is a five-string violin, so it incorporates the E, A, D, G strings of the violin, but it also has that low C on it
Hmm.
that has the viola incorporated. So it's kind of an all-in-one instrument. And I actually have a certain toy, oh, that I got from the UK, and it's a Violectra, and it's actually they're famous for this, and it's a six-string electric, so it just dips barely into cello range. I finally stopped pursuing a small violin instrument with more strings. I finally did buy a cello in 2020, so I can do all my string lines, all the spectrums, and it's really fun. So.
Yeah, I can well imagine. And when it comes to writing music, how do tracks normally start off for you?
It depends. What I try to do is write a song a day, and I find for artists it's so hard to finish something because you get caught up in self-doubt or not perfecting something or this or that. And so I really had to focus on the art of start to finish, even if it wasn't what I love doing. Even if some things didn't turn out, it's not going to be a hit a day, but it's kind of getting you in that creative space. And it really shocked me how much just, discipline really bred into creativity. So all of the above, I would say sometimes I'd actually even write, like Be True to Yourself was first written on a guitar, which I hate to admit. And then I went to my violin after it was written and explored a whole new plucking sensational sound where I'm actually plucking three chords at once with my thumb, first finger, and second finger, and with a certain delay. And it's like a signature sound. It's so cool. And so it's, sometimes like Be True to Yourself kind of fell out of the blue. It was a song that I wrote specifically to my brother as he was leaving the cult several years later. And it's hard to see what you're going through and have empathy for yourself. But when you look at someone you love so much and he's a younger brother and you see what he's going through, it fell out of the air. So that was just like everything happened. There are some other songs where it's like, I finished a version, wasn't happy, came back, tried to put every tool I ever knew inside of the song. And I did have great talks with people who were like, that's what a career is for, showcasing different aspects of what you could do through time and growing and changing. And so I had to learn to not shove everything into one song as well. It's a fun process. We could talk about this all day. I'll stop now. Okay.
No, not a problem. But you mentioned that you try to write a song a day, so you must have a nice big catalogue of music that you want to get out there. Are you planning on the next release now?
I just started a whole like I feel like I have so many songs that are not properly recorded, but I'm starting fresh, and I just started this as of yesterday. So a new, like, I'm gonna start with just some singles and just a totally new fresh sound, and starting that journey right now. So I'm really stoked.
Good. Yeah, excellent. And I'm sure people will want to see you doing some live shows. What's your plan?
This year, I'm doing a lot of recording. So I've taken a lot of actually producing, recording, engineering kind of classes. And I'm really excited to kind of just sit in the studio in that creative space. And then my goal is to bring it live. And when I do live shows, I love to incorporate some looping. I don't do that as much. I record my parts, but I love the looping aspect. So during the live show, I incorporate that a lot. So hopefully soon. I have a 5 and 7 year old, so that's holding the touring a little bit. So that's why it will be basement work this year and recording.
Yeah, good. Is there many places you want to get to when you do start getting on the road and doing some shows?
UK for sure. I feel like I've done a lot of Asian tours and Middle East, which is crazy. I was with a band right before I started my Nordik Fire project, and we actually were cultural ambassadors with the United States Embassy, and they sent us to all these underserved areas as a cultural exchange program. And that was fascinating. And it's just, we went to places like Timor-Leste. We ended our last tour with them in Jordan, and the last concert was in a Roman amphitheater. So it was pretty sweet. And I am dying though to get over to Europe. So that's that's my bucket list. So.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Nordik Fire to talk about new music and more. And if you're loving these interviews and want to hear it alongside a load of music too, then you can check out our international radio show. Yes, we have our radio show available with these interviews, new music, interviews, live sessions, loads more on our 2-hour radio show. So go and check that out on our website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk. Now, while you go and do that, we're going to play you our final new interview. It comes from Boo Hewerdine, who's just released a brand new record with Yvonne Lyon. And we had a little chat with him all about it. Boo Hewerdine, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much.
Good.
I should warn you that any moment now, a man's going to come to mend my boiler and the dogs will go mad. But it'll sound good on the recording. So.
That's fine. Yeah, we'll keep it all in. We won't edit it out. We'll just leave it as is for the entertainment purposes. And speaking of entertainment, we've been playing a new single of yours. The track, "The Things You Find in Books." Tell us a bit about the single first of all.
Well, the single is kind of the title track of the album that I've made with Yvonne Lyon, which is the album's called "Things Found in Books." And it's based around a notice board in Culzean Castle in the second-hand bookshop. When people bring in second-hand books to donate, quite often they leave things between the pages and they've stuck them all on a board. And Yvonne, a few years ago, thought that would be a really nice concept for an album. And so she contacted me and then we wrote it together. And it's, not only is it an album, it's a really lovely book as well. It's a beautiful thing. And we're going to be touring during the summer, playing in bookshops and literary festivals and stuff like that. So it's a bit unusual thing for us to do, and it's very lovely. We launched the project properly in Culzean Castle a couple of weekends ago, and it's a very immersive gig, though I say it myself. So it was it's a bit different from strutting about singing songs about yourself, so I liked it.
yeah, absolutely. And as mentioned, that is off the new record, which is out now.
Yeah.
For those who've not heard it yet, tell us about the sound and the album itself.
Well, that's an interesting question, really. It's quite diverse because we just reacted to the things that we took as inspiration. So there's a couple of instrumentals, and one of them's called Viennese Horses because there was a postcard of Viennese horses. So we just try to create that atmosphere, and then other songs. She's got a beautiful song that she wrote, which is called Salvador Dali and Me, and that's a lovely sweeping sort of string laden thing. It's really lovely. So it's a very varied record in terms of style. Either she or myself sing, but it's all held together with the concept. Quite often when I make an album, I want everything to sort of sound as though it came from the same place, but we allowed ourselves to wander stylistically with this. Yeah,
nice. And how did you and Yvonne get together to write this?
Well, I knew Yvonne because I play with Eddie Reader, and Yvonne had supported us probably over 10 years ago, and we just became pals. And she approached me, to be honest. I mean, she's the driving force initially. I'll tell you what, I do a lot of records by myself, and doing a record with someone else and feeling like a little team is a really special thing. So we're always watching each other's back. So she approached me and asked me, and we did it online initially, and then she doesn't live that far from me. I live in Glasgow. She lives in Greenock. So we ended up sort of being together. Some of the songs we wrote individually, some together. just it was a very easy, pleasurable process, which is always good with music, I think. So
Nice. I'd like to talk about the writing side of things as well. So for you, how do tracks normally start off?
One of a million different ways, actually. But being given a topic is, as a songwriter, is such a gift. Sometimes I do commissions for radio programs, and they say, "Can you write a song about absence or something like that?" And they give me 3 days to do it, and then go and record it. To be given a task, so we gave ourselves tasks. So all these lovely items that are on the board were like cues to start. But when I'm writing albums for myself, you're just looking at a big blank page. So quite often it takes me 2 or 3 years between albums to sort of find what I want to say. But that's not a problem with this. You're given the subject matter, and then off you go. And as a songwriter, that is such a gift. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
We're in fact going to do a residential workshop in September together, where we're going to, the people are, it's more or less sold out now. It's at a place called Moniac Moor near Inverness, and people are going to come, and we're going to sort of share with other writers that like the power of a discrete project rather than just trying to write about your own feelings. It's magic. I've done that with I don't know if you know Duke Special. I did an album with him like that, which was based around 100-year-old photographs and things like that. So it's a cheat, really. You're given something to write about. If you're given something to write about, it just comes out in moments.
Yeah, I can well imagine. And you already mentioned that you're heading out on tour doing some shows. I bet you can't wait for that.
Yeah. Where are you?
I am near Bristol.
I think we're playing at Chapel Arts in Bath, actually. That's not far, is it?
Not too far, no.
We can come along, and you can come backstage and sort of take things out of our rider if you want, you know. Like...
Sounds good to me. Yeah, sounds good to me. And I think that's your last date on your tour across July. How's the? Are you ready for it at the moment, or is the plan still in process?
Oh, it's way in the future that, but we will be ready. We've done a few shows already. We're very quick at getting together. But the idea of this is not a traditional album tour thing. So we're doing that, and then we're doing Scottish dates in December. But we're going to do stuff right until next year and go abroad with it. And we've got someone helping us get us on various literary and arts festivals. So it's actually playing Chapel Arts, which is I love that venue, and I love the people who run it. But that's probably the most traditional gig we're doing on this tour, you know. Mm-hmm. So most of the others are in unusual places. So we're just always on the lookout for weird places to play with this project. So
yeah, I'm sure. And you mentioned heading overseas as well. Is there anywhere you want to get to and play?
Well, I'd quite like to get to Australia because my youngest has moved there. So I've made it quite clear that we have to get some gigs around Melbourne so I can visit her.
And then you can visit her and take the costs off your business expenses instead.
Exactly. What a beautiful gesture, you must be thinking. It's very expensive to get there, and I'm a musician, and because I'm a musician, you take every opportunity you can to get a freebie. Yeah.
And hope you enjoyed the interview there with Boo Hewerdine to talk about his new record and more. And this is the part of the show where we like to throw back in time to an interview we did in our early years. And we're throwing back to 2017, where we went to Slam Dunk Festival. And at Slam Dunk Festival in Birmingham at the time, we had a little chat with Ben from Neck Deep. So going back in time to then, Ben from Neck Deep, how are you?
Very well, yeah, very well. Enjoying Slam Dunk. Coming to just about. I woke up I'm a vocalist, so I get to sleep in the longest. I've been asleep until about 2 hours ago. I'm just getting to grips with where everything is, who's playing and whatnot.
Want to catch anyone?
There's a lot of bands that I'm trying to catch. The only bands that I've seen today so far are Light Pacific and Trophy Eyes. I was going to go check out Waster, but I think I'm going to be kind of busy while they're playing. Damn, there's a lot. I mean, I've got 3 days to check it out, and I got my 3 days to like get my head around set times and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of bands I want to check out. A lot of smaller bands that I haven't seen before. So it's going to be a good one, man. Again, hopefully over the 3 days I manage to catch everyone, but there's so much good stuff on, I don't know if I will.
So what else has been going on with you guys over the last couple of weeks and months?
Well, the biggest thing was that we recorded a new record.
You did?
And we released 2 new singles from that record very recently. That has pretty much been our primary focus of the last 6 months. The last kind of year really, we've been writing it. But it's all kind of come to fruition over the last couple of months, and it's been very good.
So tell us more about your album.
It's called The Peace and the Panic. It's going to be out August 18th. And yeah, as cliche as it sounds, it's a massive progression for the band. It's a massive step towards, that expansion and of the band's sound. We haven't drifted too far away from that neck deep sound, but actually no, we have. I'd say we've drifted from that kind of 50-50 with in context of the album. You have all these. You have half the album, which is like your typical pop punk bangers that you would expect, and then there's the other half of the album that you may not expect, and it might be this nice welcome surprise for people who are maybe expecting something a little different. So I kind of feel like it pleases both sides of our audience, the fans that die hard, like neck deep, pop punk fans, but also fans that are expecting a little bit more, maybe skeptics that are expecting a little bit more from us. I think we've definitely delivered on that. And we've really left the door open for ourselves to just be able to go wherever we want after this. We haven't pigeonholed ourselves into one genre specifically, and we started crafting this new sound, which hopefully we can just expand upon in the future.
Fantastic. So you finish Slam Dunk on Monday in Hatfield, London. What's your plans after that?
Couple weeks off, very short period of time off, like 2 weeks or a week, and then straight into Warped Tour over the summer in America. So that's going to be heavy, and then the album is released end of summer. And we have a couple of other little surprises here and there too, which have not been announced yet, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on the way for sure. Going to be a very busy summer.
Yeah, a couple of festivals.
Possibly.
Yeah, still to be announced.
A
couple of tours.
One of them just kind of got announced today actually. If you've got beady eyes and you're at Slam Dunk, I'm sure you'll see a thing or two.
Excellent. Back to the UK.
Yeah, back to the UK. Yeah, I'm sure you can probably put that out there. We're going to be touring the UK in October. I'm trying to think. Have the supports been announced yet? Have they? Supports haven't been announced. They're not on the posters yet. All right, cool.
Can they be announced?
Unfortunately not. We're in control of that. That flow of information.
That's why you're here.
Got to keep it fucking tight on that flow of information. Can't have no leaky taps anywhere now.
So I know that you've just got a record out, but are you guys still writing?
Well, we had a ton of ideas left over from the last record that didn't make the record. So I guess there's still a lot of stuff that people won't hear and stuff like that, and still stuff to expand upon. And I guess every time you pick up a guitar, you're looking to be writing something. I don't think we ever stop writing, but I think the heavy actual we need to write songs vibe has been alleviated from us for now. We finished off the record and it was kind of like, sweet, we don't have to. We write these songs while we're off, but we don't need to write. It's kind of about a choice. So that the pressure's off us. We're not taking it too seriously now. 2 singles just came out. The focus is really kind of like getting ready for this album cycle, getting ready for people to hear the album, and getting ready to play those songs live, really.
And I hope you enjoyed the interview there with Ben from Neck Deep from Slam Dunk Festival 2017. And that's the end of the show for another week, I am afraid. But don't you worry, we will be back next week with more interviews for you to enjoy. But if you can't wait until then, social media at The Sound Lab, yes, on all the socials. Check out the website, thesoundlabuk.co.uk, and make sure you go and follow us on all of the socials like Spotify and our fresh playlist too. But make sure you do come back this time next week for a next episode of Interviews Unedited. Goodbye.